Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have another book review for you, and it is Fathomfolk by Eliza Chan. This is the first book in what I believe is going to be a duology. This book came out in 2024 and honestly I was just completely drawn to the front cover. There are so many good reviews on the back, so many. And on the front it says, "Prepare to be engulfed, an unforgettable must-read fantasy," and that's from Shelley Parker Chan. And look how gorgeous that is. It's so beautiful. Some of the reviews include a thrilling, incisive fantasy of diaspora and dragons. Fathomfolk is an unmissable debut. If you're hungry for a beautiful Southeast Asian influenced fantasy with razor-sharp edges, this book is for you. Elliot de Bodard, a vivid textured tale of migration, prejudice and change, wonderful and breathtaking. Sarah Rees Brennan, "Life is better down with the Fathomfolk. I was dazzled by this novel, which has as many turns as the tide, and hope to see much more of this world and this author." Bea Fitzgerald, a luxurious and thrilling story full of political intrigue, heart-wrenching characters and edge of your seat tension. Thomas D. Lee, "From the glittering city heights to the criminal underbelly of the seafloor, the world of Fathomfolk feels deeply plausible and satisfyingly complex. If you want scheming sirens and snarky sea dragons, then this is the book for you." G.V. Anderson, "Fathomfolk is a compelling tale about cultures colliding, set against a city backdrop that feels familiar yet fresh. Eliza Chan deftly and compassionately writes about the depths we'll plunge to change our world." By A.Y. Chow, "Eliza Chan's Fathomfolk has all the feels, furious, bittersweet and heart-wrenching. Gripping to the last page, the story stayed with me long after I finished the book." Claire North, "Gloriously imagined and full of heart." Toby Ogundrian, I'm going to butcher this name, I do apologise. Tori Ogundiran, "Eliza Chan is not just a writer, she is a storyteller, a triumph of imagination." And finally, June C.L. Tan, "With complex, daring characters and layered storytelling, Chan's heartfelt and nuanced exploration of diaspora survival will resonate deeply with readers." Big word. So many fantastic reviews, but I wasn't that taken in. As always with my book reviews, I'll read you guys the blurb first. Before we get into that, don't forget, if you like what you see, to subscribe to this channel. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. Blurby blurb. Revolution is brewing in the semi-submerged city of Tiankawi, between humans and the Fathomfolk, who live in its waters. This gloriously imaginative debut fantasy, inspired by East Asian mythology and ocean folk tales, is a novel of magic, rebellion and change. Welcome to Tiankawi, shining pearl of human civilization and a safe haven for those fleeing civil unrest. Or at least that's how it first appears. But in the semi-flooded city, humans are quite literally on top, peering down from shining towers and aerial walkways on the Fathomfolk, sirens, sea witches, kelpies and kappas, who live in the polluted waters below. For half-siren Mira, promotion to captain of the border guard means an opportunity to help her downtrodden people. But if earning the trust and respect of her human colleagues wasn't hard enough, everything Mira has worked towards is put in jeopardy when Nami, a know-it-all water dragon and Fathomfolk princess, is exiled to the city under Mira's watch. When extremists sabotage a city festival, violence erupts, as does the clampdown on Fathomfolk rights. Both Nami and Mira must decide if the cost of change is worth paying, or if Tiankawi should be left to drown. Sounds really epic. It sounds like a political intrigue tale, and to be honest, what is inside is definitely important to read. It definitely goes into prejudice and racism, with the Fathomfolk being immigrants to Tiankawi, which is a landfolk city. So it deals with a lot of prejudice, a lot of racism, a lot of immigration issues, but through the eyes of obviously fantasy. So the Fathomfolk are people of the sea. They can breathe and swim underwater, whereas humans cannot breathe and swim underwater. But the Fathomfolk can also come on land, which the landfolk can't do the same as them underwater, but they do all dive. So they kind of can, but they can't breathe under the water. The humans are also polluting the sea heavily, which sort of goes into a little bit of global warming, because the world is basically sinking, and through to rising sea levels, that could happen in our own world. So it does deal with some really interesting topics, quite detailed as well, with some fight scenes. I think there's two sexual scenes. It doesn't fully complete the sex scene, but it does start the foreplay. So it's quite detailed, but not thoroughly detailed. So I have 3 quotes from this book, so I'll go into those. And as always, I will warn you if spoilers are going to show up. Page 55. She had merely caught a harmless spider in a glass and released it back outside. I love this comparison as Mira takes Get It away from the Fathomfolk town. It was just a interesting way to describe it, which I enjoyed. Page 61. Okay, so on page 61, we meet a octopus person basically, and I'm just getting the Little Mermaid here with the octopus as possibly the villain and the henchman being the squid in Fathomfolk, but the eels in the Little Mermaid. And then on page 80, you're Athlian, which is Nami, skip. No, I'm Tian Cowan, Mira says. But where are you from originally? Here, Mira said, emphasizing her point with the wooden spoon on the counter. Born here, brought up here, never lived anywhere else. I'm fresh water. I like this true representation of people who are from an immigrant family who don't match the stereotypical racist description of what people look like from a certain country, and how you have to re-explain all the time where you're from. Now, I actually get a weird little viewpoint from this because of my accent. A lot of people don't think I'm English, even though I am. And my family is English as well. I'm not from an immigrant family. So my family's English, I'm English. But I often get asked where I'm from originally because of my accent. Now, I'm from the northeast of England, but I also travelled abroad teaching English as a second language. And I just seem to sponge in accents. So obviously I had to do a slight American twang on certain words in order to teach it. And because I'm from the northeast, I had to change my accent when I moved to the middle of the UK in Yorkshire. Then I had to change it again when I moved down south because people couldn't understand me. And I didn't have a broad accent. So in later life, to be honest, I think people just often don't understand me. So I don't think it's anything to do with my accent. Ultimately, people just don't understand me. So it is what it is. But people do always ask where I'm from. Now, I've definitely seen it where people ask where you're from originally to people who they just presume are immigrants, and people aren't. And it's a question that comes across as harmless, but when it's repeated constantly to that person, it's no longer harmless. It's something to bear in mind. Don't presume. Now, chapter 22, I just found that chapter pointless. I'm just letting you know. I felt it was pointless. And final quote is page 309. The rain hid the rivers that ran down her cheeks. I just love that description of her crying. Ultimately, this book didn't quite grasp it for me. It wasn't gritty enough when it was trying to be gritty, and it wasn't political enough when it was trying to create political intrigue. Pretty much all of the characters are grey, which I did enjoy. I also found some of them too easy to persuade or too easily moved on. We start with Mira as our main character, then we kind of change to Nami, and I don't know, it felt kind of people-watchy, but it wasn't fast-paced enough, but then also was fast-paced. Do you see how confused I am with this read? Let's go into my overall review with my scores out of 10. So for enjoyment, I gave it 6. For characterization, 6. Writing style, 6. Plot, I gave it a 5 because it just didn't feel like it properly had one. It wasn't precise enough for me. World building, 8. You do really get to understand the world. For representation, I would give it a 10. It's using the fancy realm to show people from various places. And originality, I'll give it a 10. So it is really original. It was an interesting idea. I just don't think the plot was thought out enough or refined enough for me. The characters were all grey, but their arcs weren't quite believable. I found Nami very gullible, which sort of just annoyed me. And Mira was our first character, and then she just sort of vanished a bit. Yeah, it just kind of had some issues. But it is a debut novel. I would say I wouldn't read the second in this series, but if Eliza Chan comes out with a new series, then I would likely give that a go just to see where Eliza Chan's writing has gone. So ultimately, I would give this 3 stars out of 5. It is erring on a 2 for me. It wasn't a gripping read. I didn't think about it so much when I put it down. I thought about it maybe a little by the end, but not enough. Yeah, I'll say 3 stars. if you're looking for a new debut author and you are into the Asian mythology fantasy genre right now, then I'd recommend giving it a try. But for me, a 3-star. There are better ones out there if you want to delve into the genre for me personally, but we all have different tastes. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye.